Hey everyone, I thought I'd get this video out for New Year's, but I've been working on the lightsaber, and the first print came out great. It pointed me in the direction that, okay, this year I should actually try to go to a Comic-Con and do some cosplay. And it got me off my butt, and I broke out my Brother limited edition Project One Ray Runway sewing machine, and I'm going to do an Obi-Wan costume to match the lightsaber and go to Comic-Con for the first time in my life. But I used some wrong filaments. Not that they were bad filaments, but gray is not silver, and silk metallics are even cooler than metal PLAs. So the original prototype I did, I had a gold and copper Hatchbox PLA, and I didn't have any silver, so I used eSun Gray PLA for the silver parts. And after I printed it, I did some thinking and looking and going, well, if I did this and this, I could use some Prusa slicer features and get some multicolors in there. So I did that, and I'm happy. For the 2 days of printing on the minis and the 10 minutes of slicing it using Prusa slicer features, it's really cool. So I'm not old enough to be original Star Wars Obi-Wan, and my beard's too gray to be the prequels Obi-Wan. So I've watched the prequels and took some notes on the costume that I'll sew up, but I'm kind of waiting for the Kenobi TV series on Disney Plus to come out. And after Critical Drinker, Heels vs. Babyface, Midnight's Edge, and Nerd Erotic agree it's a good series, I'll go ahead and buy Disney Plus and take some notes off that. And then I was thinking, well, if I'm going to go to Comic-Con this year, I should invite my brother, so I got the plans for the Mandalorian helmet and armor and the rifle, and then I grabbed a baby Grogu and scaled him up big, chest on up. You don't need the rest, because I'll do a sling, bulk it up with some paper, and then have the chest and higher head of Grogu coming out of the sling. So he'll be the Mandalorian, and he's into it. So that's pretty cool. So my last video, I said that I'd tell you why I started printing out another run of the Fat Dragon Games tiles. So there was two issues I had. The first run that I print 3-4 years ago, I did on my ANET A8s, and they looked okay, but I had to drop the clip down the bed and print them like at 3/4 height to get them to actually fit in the slots. And then after doing a 12x12 array, they would bow. And then I upgraded to ANET A6s. The bow was a little less, but I still had the 1/3 clips. Then I moved up to the Ender 3s. The bow was even less, but I still had to use half-height clips. And then I got into this generation of printers, which uses the stock default V3 full-height clips, and there are no bows. Issue 1. Issue 2, the day I discovered Fat Dragon Games changed my 3D printing hobby forever till today. And I didn't know how to paint. So I watched Tom's original video on how to paint the tiles. And I quite didn't get the light dry brushing of beige meant. Needless to say, the tiles have too much beige. And then after he came out with his sponge method, and I did the torchlight walls, they don't match. So I'm getting flat tiles that use the stock V3 clip, works perfectly, and I'll paint them the right way this time around. So 2-3 weeks before Christmas, I started printing out this batch, and then when this batch was done, I went, okay, I need to paint this stuff. I need to keep up with the painting stuff. Yeah, well, as you can see here, they're printing more tiles, so not working out that good yet. But this stuff I'm taking home tonight, and tomorrow and Tuesday I'm off, so I'll start priming and getting to the painting of these. But so this was about 3 weeks ago, so about a week before Christmas, I had this much done, and I went, all right, I'm done, I need to paint. And then 2 days went by with the printers not doing anything. I want to tell you about a disease that 3D printing hobbyists can get. It's a psychological one. After printing a bunch, days that your printers don't work, you'll get this tick, this gnawing at your soul. You're not doing enough today. So after about 2 days of the printers not working, I couldn't handle it anymore. So I went out to PrishaPrinters.org and just started looking around for something to print. Anything to print. Didn't need to be painted. I just need to keep a machine or two printing so I hear them. That's the psychological disease that you can fall into. It's a real thing. And I came across the Kenobi lightsaber. And I looked at it and went, well, if this works the way I think it could work, this could be a cool thing. And it is a cool thing. So the next couple days before New Year's, I started printing it out, the prototype, and it came out great, but the colors were off. So I just finished yesterday printing some replacement parts. And this is what I ended up with. So the parts screw together, the snap lock, screw snap, and the only modification I've really done is the knobs are one part that go up from here and around. So this is without any glue. Well, my part now has a little super glue because in Prusa Slicer I took the knobs STL, cut it in half, and by doing that I was able to print each one of these out. And I did so the knurls, I don't know if I'll be able to focus in, there's actually little triangles, knurl triangles in there. It looks great. So I was able to do, using Prusa Slicer's color change feature, get the black in the knurling, and then this guy here, I've got a red button now. And then on the LED panel, I was able to print the base, and then using the color change, I went with a clear PLA that I'm starting to get dialed in. It's actually starting to turn clear. So there's more work to be done there, but that's good enough. So this guy here is done in CC 3D silk, metallic silver, and there's silk metallic copper. And then I've got Jessie PLA black for the heat sink here. and the handle. They call it the ring or whatever. And then I did the copper for the plate, and then color changed to go into the LEDs to clear. The trigger is copper, and then I did copper with color changes to red, and copper with color changes to black, and then back to the copper. And then I did copper for the clip. So this is straight off the printer, put together, no sanding, no post-production, no priming, Bondo, and painting. I'm happy. That's going to clip on my belt, and somebody 3 foot away are going to go, oh, it's Obi-Wan with a lightsaber. If they get close enough to go, oh, it's 3D printed, I'm going to pull a social justice warrior and punch them in the face because they're in my private space. Not really, but... So, I got sidetracked on this guy for a couple days. And I'm happy. It's done. No post-production, no priming, Bondo, sanding, painting. Just grab the right PLA, and if you've got a good enough printer, it will work just fine. And then now on these guys here, I've got the half height 5 foot corridors going. I figured I'd do the single figure corridors in half height, so it's easier to see from the table. Minis that have swords and axes and stuff sticking out will actually fit in there. And these guys are easier to paint. Trying to get down the full height on the floor and down here with the sponge was going to be a pain in the butt. So it's easier to get with the sponge. And the half height will work. And these little corridors I'm only going to use for like off of a full wall. You find the secret door, and in the corridor, the half height will go to another full dungeon room. There won't be any traps or monsters. I use these single corridors for hidden passages. And the half height, faster to print, easier to paint. And then these guys, I'm looking forward to getting the right paint scheme down, and happy about 12 by 12, or at least 12 by 12, laying flat without bowing, like they did on the ANET A8s, the A6s, and the Enders. And then this year I'm going to go to, if I can go to Comic-Con, I'm going to go to Comic-Con and cosplay Obi-Wan Kenobi. So this was what, $1.75 in PLA, and 2 days on the 2 Prusa minis. And it's like, that looks like metal to me. Check out the bottom. So this is with Prusa Slicer 2.2. I haven't got the 2.3 because I'm having issues with tolerances. So I haven't used the monotonal ironing yet. But maybe I'll redo it. But 2 days of printing and a couple different brands of PLA. No post-production, no sanding, no Bondo, no priming, no painting. Clip it on your belt, it looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber. So that was pretty cool. So the last 3-4 weeks, I have had so much fun and gotten so much joy out of my little printer farm. I'm a happy camper. The only maintenance I had to do on it is this guy here needed a new nozzle. He was the original MK3 printer, and when I converted it to full bear, I didn't change the nozzle. I just dropped the whole E3D V6 into the new Barrick extruder. So I did a new nozzle here, and on this guy here, when the X was going across, it would rattle. So as an experiment, I got a 6-pack of the new Prusa Mitsumi bearings and replaced the Indonesia, Korea, Chinese, I have no idea, the stock kit bearings. The new MK3S Pluses, I think, come with the new Mitsumi bearings and the new clips. I don't need the clips because I ASA printed some plastic bearing carriers. So after I put in the Mitsumi bearings on the X, this thing is almost as quiet as an Ender 3 with the 09 drivers. I'm happy. This guy here, I need to do it again. This guy here, I think I've done all 6, but it's sitting in the IKEA cabinet for doing ASA, ABS, polycarbonate, and nylon. So it has to be in the cabinet. And I don't want to go out. This was like really cheap to build. Doing a full wood or buying somebody else's cabinet that will sit on this desk. I need this space here. If it was to go on the desk, if it isn't a full cabinet, if it was going on a desk, then I have nowhere to do my stacking parts before I take them home to paint, or my electronics, or studying, because my other desk here for work is already full. So the IKEA cabinet works out fine. A little noisy, but you need that noise to keep that psychotic, I'm not printing disease away. So, I got the new tower pieces printed that I wanted for my DM screen. So, this model for the lightsaber is awesome. I can totally recommend it. And if you do the right thing with the PLAs, get the silk metallics, there's no post-processing. It's good enough. Unless you're one of those that print their 4 tiles standing up and getting knocked down and ruin the whole build plate. I'm not that anal. All my 4 tiles go flat. 6x6 here, 6x6 there. Yeah, it's a smaller bed, but do you really print that many things? That'll do a 6x6 all tiles. Whatever my Prusa can do, or the Ender 3 that I had could do, it will just fit on the mini bed. And the mini's faster because it doesn't have a motor up there on the hot end. And it should be faster than the MK3S. That's got a motor, direct drive. I like the direct drive. But I also like the speed. Well, I'm not going to go into that. This year I've changed my channel's changing. I'm not going to tell you why your printer's bad. It took me 4 years to get to where I'm at, and it was a fun journey. I'm not going to ruin that for anybody else. So if you've got a glass bed, good for you. I went through the glass bed period with Aquanet hairspray. Then I went through the glass on the A-Net A8s. And then I went through the smooth PEI self-adhesive sheet on the glass plate on the A-Net A6s. Then I started learning about Prusas and what they were doing. I'm going, yes, weight matters. I went with the smooth PEI on the flex steel sheets for the Ender 3s. And that mostly works. There's other problems that I think with the Enders, but that's not for me to say. If you love your Enders, great. I hope you love your Enders as much and have as much fun as I've had in the last 3 weeks with this little print farm. So that's my new view for this year. I'm going to go into here's what I'm printing and you can too. Not here's why your printer sucks and mine are better. I don't care anymore. I'm having fun. I'm going to show you what I'm doing, and then you can figure out whether your printer is right or not. So this year's videos are about, here's what I'm printing, here's how I'm doing it, and so can you. That's what I'm about now. I'm done with the what's the best printer thing. Here's how to make it better. Well, la 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 la. No, that's for you to learn. I had 4 years. I learned it. It was a fun journey. I wouldn't give it up. Well, not necessarily. If I can go back in time, I'd say I would tell myself and get the MK3-2, run with that until 2020 when the minis came out. No, the learning process was good. I learned stuff. All right, well, new video coming out soon. Well, that's a good idea. Let me know if you guys are interested in what, because I did this whole thing, including the cutting the parts, to be able to do the multicolor change in Prusa Slicer. I only use Prusa Slicer to get this whole thing done. If you guys are interested in how I did it and want to see the workflow I used, post some comments down below, and I'll go ahead and do that video. And then maybe I'll do a video on some painting, how I mix my gray colors from white and black Vallejo primer and shoot it through my Badger 105 airbrush, and the sponge method and how it comes out. And then from there, maybe I'll do some videos on how I'm progressing with the Mando armor and helmet and rifle. Alright, Happy New Year's everyone, and stay safe.